Retro Rob plays everything.
Hey there, real gamers, Retro Rob here, and today we're going to take a look at my Sega Genesis collection, and this is one I don't think I've covered before on this channel. I've covered one or two things I've got for the Sega Genesis in the past, but never done the complete collection, and this is the mostly complete collection. I do have stuff in storage. For instance, this is my Genesis 2 that I use for the guys' games and beer room, and I think I have two more of these laying around somewhere or another. So I do have multiples of many of the things that I'll show you. Not all of them, but many of them. So just note that. I'll try to note it if I do. Anyway, this is the SG Program Pad 2, and this is the one we use for guys, games, and beer when we're doing playthroughs. It's a good, hefty, durable controller. I like it. I don't think I've ever programmed it, nor do I know how to program it. So I've never used it for that. Also, I've got some of these new Genesis 6-button arcade pad remakes. This is by Retrobit, sorry. I want to say Hyperkin, but these are made by Retrobit. Really nice reproductions. They feel really nice. They work just like the originals, so super happy about that. Alright, next in the rack we have my stack of Sega-ness, and this of course is the Sega CD. This is my favorite version of the Sega CD, by the way. My original Mark 1. I think there's probably been a few revisions of the Mark 1, but this is the look of the Mark 1 Genesis. I've got two of these, and then of course a 32X, which I think I gave my other 32X to a friend of mine who needed it for parts, so I think I've only got one of those, but everything works. The stack works fine. One other interesting note is I do have a cable, an all-in-one cable that connects all three of these with one power adapter, which is kind of a big deal because the power adapters for these are rather large and can take up a bunch of bulk. So I've got a video on that. I'll try and link that down below if I remember. And of course, if I didn't mention it, here's my black 6-button controller, and this is a repro, not an original. And here is my Sega Nomad. This one's mostly original. It's got the original screen on it. I did do a cap job on it, but other than that, I didn't change it in any way, shape, or form really, other than just updating it a little bit that way. I really like this. This is one of my favorite handhelds just because it runs the original. One of the really lofty goals that I have is to get myself one of the TurboGrafx handhelds, but this is definitely one of my favorites. Alright, so the first game we're going to look at is Musha, Metallic Uniframe Super Hybrid Armor. This is a pretty cool little shooty bang bang game. That's an official description, by the way, but this is a repro, and it's not a great one. You can see the print's kind of blurry. Same goes for the cartridge. It's nice that they included the manual, but the manual's black and white inside, and it doesn't have the quality of the original. I used to really be a big supporter of these, but over time I've come to really not like them as much, so I'll probably part with these eventually, maybe buy a giveaway or something like that. But this is the better of my two total knockoff carts. The other one being Mega Man The Wily Wars, and this one really, even though the cover print is really nice, you can see that it's kind of stretched up at the top, and you look at the back, the quality is pretty decent again, but the box quality is really crud. It barely stays shut. The manual's too big and it kind of puffs out. Print quality is pretty poor, and the sticker doesn't stay on, so this is not really a very high quality reproduction. Next, let's talk about some aftermarket cartridges, things that came out after the Genesis was long dead. These are generally some indie games. There is Mega Cat Studios' Coffee Crisis. This is a beat 'em up game. I do like beat 'em ups quite a bit. Again, looks pretty darn nice. The quality on this is really good. Good looking cartridge, plays well, no problems there. I enjoy this. The PC version is a little bit better, but this is a little more, I don't know, what's the word, authentic feeling. It feels like, you know, you're well, you're playing it on a Genesis, but you know what I mean, it feels a little more retro when you're playing this version. Next we have Felix Jr. I got this one a while ago. In fact, I got 2 copies of this, although one doesn't have the box with it. And again, you can see the quality's a little bit better, even though I got a little bit of fringing on the end here, so their machining isn't up to par, but the print quality on the cartridge is quite nice, and the box shuts pretty properly, and it looks good on a shelf. Ditto here for Divwell 2, which this looks really good. This is another Megacat Studios game, and this really, see, it's hard to even get the cartridge box open. So it's really well put together, very nice manual. Art looks good on the cartridge. Again, looks really good on the shelf or in your game console. Neat little game too. This is another game that I've definitely done a video for, so you can check that out.
Thumbs up, comment and subscribe, or I will go Skynet on your butt.
Time for some classic physical releases. First we've got Combat Cars. I don't think I've got the manual for this. Oh yeah, I do. I'll be darned. And this, of course, is an original. It's the real thing. Right down to, that's a crummy box. The box might not be original to the game, but it is the real thing, not a copy. Picked this one up at a flea market a while back. Another one of those neat little games that you don't see every day. Here's something you see every day, though. We got Jurassic Park. And there's the back of that little platformer. There's some people who really love this game. Not my thing, really. And the manual's actually empty inside. There's nothing in there. Not a repro, just really tore up. Next we have Aladdin. This is a fairly easy game to get for the Genesis. A lot of my stuff's pretty common. It has a manual. There's the back of the box. Looks really nice. I think everybody knows this is a fairly popular platformer. Next we have Warlock. Beware the ultimate evil of Warlock. Another platformer. I like platformers. It's kind of an RPG platformer game. I have not played this a whole lot, but I like what I played of it. Someday I'm going to get back to this one. This one's actually kind of neat. Then we got Sonic Spinball. This game is freaking great. I first ran into this, I think, on the Wii Virtual Console, and just got really into it right away. Really cool little game. I like this one a lot. And it's pretty cheap to pick up. Speaking of cheap to pick up, James Pond 2, Codename Robocod. In my opinion, one of the finest platformers of all time. The Genesis version is one of the weaker versions of the game. But still, it's a strong game in its own right. The platforming's good on it. I think by modern standards, if you grew up on more modern platform games, you may not like it that much. But it's a great game in my opinion. Here's an Amiga Classic. The Sega Genesis was just filled with Amiga Classics. Shadow of the Beast. And it's a really good game. And unfortunately, it's just the cartridge. And kind of a beat-up rental cartridge at that. But really great graphics. Fun little run and jump shooter. Hard. Really hard game. Next we have Pitfall, the Mayan adventure, which is not the best version of Pitfall there ever was. That said, it's a heck of a lot better than that lousy Famicom version, if you've ever played that. It's just the game and the cartridge, and you can see the edges are a little beat up on it. But hey, it does the trick. Next we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Everybody who has a Genesis has this one. Or at least most people do. If you don't, that would be weird. But anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog. It's really great. Not for resale. This one came with a console, I'm guessing. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Look at that. And yet again, more of the Sonic. You gotta have Sonic games. If you have a Genesis, you have to have Sonic games. I don't play them a lot on this channel, And that's because I think, you know, they're like everywhere. You can see them everywhere if you want. Next we have Sonic and Knuckles. Look at that. It's a neat little one. I can't remember where I picked this one up. But anyway, you plug in, you can plug in your old Sonic game and play it through there. Really cool. This was a cool idea. Lock on with Sonic 2 or lock on with Sonic 3. I don't know where my original Sonic the Hedgehog went. Huh. Be darned, I don't see it around here. That's strange. Alright, we're going to go on to Boxed 32X games. Alright, first game is Virtua Fighter 32X. And this is one beat up copy. Look at that. It's seen some action. I don't know where I got this. I think I got it in a lot of games. And you know what? I'm going to bet I have a better box for this laying around somewhere, because I do have a few spare 32X boxes. Should probably rebox it if I do. Anyway, it's actually a really good version of Virtua Fighter. The 32X, of course, didn't really succeed at extending the life of the Genesis by much, but it did come up with its own kind of neat little games for it, and remakes of games or upgraded versions of games. Anyway, here's Shadow Squadron. This is a cool game. Actually, it took me a while to track this one down. I was kind of surprised because I thought it was fairly common, but anyway, yeah, it's a space shooter. Really cool from the cockpit view. Nice graphics, but you know, as it always is, a little bit low of a frame rate. And that's the killer, you know, you really want smooth frame rates. Next we got Metalhead. I hear this game's great. I have not played it yet. Mech game, and looks really good to me. I think it's a neat looking little game, but again, have not had time to play it, which is kind of rare among Genesis stuff for me, because I did play a lot of Genesis back in the day. Cosmic Carnage. Yeah, not much to say about this one. This is not a well-reviewed game, but it's a fighter, and it does. I don't know. I don't know what the 32X does for this game, but whatever. Here's one. Another must-have game for the 32X. 32X Doom is actually pretty good. I enjoy playing it. It's not perfect. It's not the best version of the Doom in the world, but it is quite good. I like it better than the Super Nintendo version of Doom anyway. And it's nice looking, I think. And plays okay. Really want a good version of Doom, try the PlayStation version. It's beautiful. Next we have Virtua Racing Deluxe, which is really quite good. It does play really nicely on this game system. I enjoy playing it. I play it every once in a great while. I tend to play it emulated, though. I shouldn't say that, but I do. Just the way it is. But look at new prototype car. One of the nicer games for the 32X, in my opinion. Alright, finally. Star Wars Arcade. Definitely worth playing. This is a 32X remake. It looks really good. It plays quite well. I enjoy this one a lot. And I think if you try it out, you'll be pretty happy. And this is the last of my 32X games. So I am going to go on to my very tiny collection of Sega CD games. Well, this is going to be short. Okay, here is Heimdall for the Sega CD. I believe the box is a repro, but the game is legit. And there's my nice repro box. Yeah, you can tell it's not printed right. But anyway, Heimdall, it's an RPG adventure. There's a respectable amount of RPGs for the Genesis. It's not really known for RPGs, but you know, there's a few there. Alright, next we have Silpede for the Sega CD. I don't know why I said it like that. Silpede for the Sega CD. And this is a pretty beat up copy of it. However, it's not a terribly well known game. I originally played this on the Apple II GS, and I loved the game. This is kind of a reboot of the game, but really quite a bit of fun. I like this one and enjoy playing it. Next we have Lodestar, the Legend of Tully Bodeen, which, if you have ever seen it, oh, it is such a treat. Definitely, if you get a chance, don't pay a lot for it. I consider it in the so bad it's good category of gaming. It's basically a rails shooter, but the acting in it, the FMV, really makes this one pop in a hilarious way. So pretty cool. And that's it. That's all I got for Sega CD. So we're gonna go on to my loose game cartridges. All right, so on to the loose games. What a way to put that. Anyway, this is my Super 112-in-1 multi-cartridge. Of course, this is a, Chinese knockoff cartridge. This is one of the better multi-carts out there, in my opinion. I thought I lost this one. I use these a lot for when I'm doing conventions. Nice way just to have a lot of games on hand, and then that way you're not risking any rare cartridges, when you're displaying. But anyway, 112-in-1 games, pretty decent little cartridge. It's well built. The printing's nice on it. I like it. So anyway, like I mentioned, I thought I lost that one for a while, so I got this one, the 196-in-1. Quite a nice cartridge too. It's very good looking. It came in a case, as I recall, but I have no idea where that case went. It was just a little plastic thing that went around it, though. It was no big deal. Note that it does battery save, so if the game has a save function, it will save it, and that's pretty nice. I believe this thing is easily replaceable too, so you can pop this thing open, pop out the battery, and put a new battery in really quick. So nice. That's a good little cart. Both of those I have videos on that you can check out. All right, more gaming. We got your Quack Shot, which I've never played. So yeah, I don't have much to say about that. If you know anything about this game, let me know in the comments down below. Rocket Knight Adventures. I actually do play this one a little bit, and I like it. It's a pretty good game. I'm surprised it's not more expensive than it is, but I suppose it's also very common. If it has my name on the back of it, usually means that I put it out on display at conventions. So this one has been out on conventions. A neat little platformer, shooty game. I can't remember. I don't recall what the reviews were like for that back in the day, but anyway, I like it. Pugsley. I almost said this is Restar or Rystar, but this is Pugsley. Pugsy, sorry. And yeah, I haven't played it. Got nothing to say about it. Here's Miss Pac-Man, and I always think it's weird seeing like games like this on the Genesis, but sure enough, I guess it shouldn't be weird because you see it on everything, but the 16-bit era, you'd see these things and it's like, oh, why they got that game for it? But I suppose everybody, even back then, wanted to play the classics, so I won't be too hard on it. Warrior of Rome 2, yet another game that I picked up in a lot and never tried out. Have no idea. This a good one? Let me know. I got some bad ones coming up though. Alright, F-15 Strike Eagle 2. I think I had this for the Commodore 64 and I really liked the original one. I don't know about F-15 Strike Eagle 2. I can't imagine. It was a fairly serious simulation game, wasn't it? The original one, yeah, it was a Microprose game. I can't imagine how you get that in 6 buttons, but alright. Another game I obviously haven't played. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, spent tons of time on this game back in the day. Came with my Genesis, even though I got my original one used. Man, when was that? That must have been 1990, 1989, somewhere around there. I was stuck in the 8-bit era for a really long time, but I had an Amiga, so, you know, that was okay. But anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog, you know what that is. He's over there. Desert Strike! This is a freaking great game. I liked this one on the Amiga, that's where I played it originally, and Desert Strike is a top-down shooter where you're in a helicopter. It is just great. There's a couple of sequels to this one too. I think Nuclear Strike was one. I think that was available on the PlayStation. There was Jungle Strike. And I think there was another one too. But anyway, neat little game. That's worth playing, by the way. If you ever get a chance, if you have not played this game, that's well worth playing. Oh yeah, here we go. Heavy Nova. And yeah, it's a shooter. It's not good. I got it cheap. It was another one of those games that I think I bought in a lot. NBA Jam, which is a legal requirement if you own a Genesis. If you're ever going to own but one basketball game, get yourself some NBA Jam and play it in its classic format on the Sega Genesis. Nothing more to say. I think it's probably the only basketball game I had bought since the Atari 2600 version. Alright, and finally, Micro Machines, yet another game I played almost exclusively on the Amiga. The British version of this, is it British? Was it all European versions, or was it like some hyper localization? But anyway, the version of this that they had in Europe, the PAL version of this, was a 4-player game. It had little cartridge ports out of the top. Cool as heck. My buddy Tom has that version, but I've got this particular version, which at least is weird looking. It's got that going for it. But nothing more to say about that one, except for this is the last game in my collection. Sad to say. Except this. Saving the most awesome for last. This is an official Everdrive X3 for the Genesis, and this is really cool. Basically what it is it's a multi-cart, but it has the ability to load games from a micro SD, making it really cool. These are kind of expensive, but I think getting this version of it's worth it. It's just well supported, very nice little device, absolutely great. Highly recommended if you have a Genesis, especially, you know, if you're looking to play rare games but not necessarily invest in them. Really cool. Now really, I'm not kidding anymore. That is the last thing in my collection. And that is it, my complete Sega Genesis collection. What do you guys think? Is there anything I absolutely need to get? I'm working on getting all the 32X games, so eventually I will have that, even the CD ones. But I think there's only one CD one, isn't there? But I am totally lacking in the Sega CD department, so if you know any games that I absolutely should get for the Sega CD, please tell me about it, or any classics that you think I should absolutely pick up for the Genesis. I'm only doing box stuff from now on, so I'm pretty much done with the these, and will eventually probably replace them all with boxed ones or buy boxes for it. Alright, I want to thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more.